problem. But then he's also critical of that move by the Ghanaian government, that voluntary repatriation. So it's voluntary. You can decide if you're a Ghanaian citizen, you want to return to Ghana. They have a package on offer. If you like it, take it. And then you join the plane all the way from South Africa to Ghana. He thinks that is perhaps maybe not the appropriate reaction be expected from the Ghanaian government. Listen to him.
The AU, the Ghana response was not necessary because it now creates an impression that we are all like that, when it is a certain section of our society that needs to be contained by law enforcement. And one Ghanaian lady was saying, you see, the problem is, and I wouldn't have taken this option. The problem is we're being beaten in front of the police and the police are not doing anything. That's the problem. And when this opportunity came for me to leave, I left because if the police can't defend me, it means the state is in agreement with the people who are beating me. So we think it was too quick. We'll still resolve this. And President of Ghana should have given us, some time to really deal with this matter, and we'll get to the bottom of it. We hope they will come back to their senses. We don't have to respond the same way they did. We need to pursue the diplomatic engagements with Ghana until we find one another. We don't think Ghana responded in a manner that really reinforces dialogue and diplomatic engagements. It actually creates a very bad, extreme situation, which is not. It's a selected few, and we are pursuing and persuading government to still act on those few. And we're saying to them, they must give us some time, they must be patient, and those who don't feel safe, especially the legally documented Ghanaians, should be able to run to police stations for safety, and then they will be directed to rightful places where they will be secured. But, it's an emotional issue for many of them, understandably so, but the reaction of government should have been, postponed a bit to give us an opportunity to deal with what is happening here in South Africa.
Give us more time. That's essentially what Julius Malema said the Ghanaian government should have done. Give the authorities some more time to deal with the situation. Professor Lord Mawuko Yevuga is a professor of international relations and diplomacy at GIMPA. Thank you very much for your time. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing. I hope you are too.
I'm good. Yeah.
Does Julius Malema have a point?
No, I don't think he has a point. He was contradictory in his statement. On one hand, he says Ghanaians reacted so quickly. On the other hand, he says that the police were standing by for the mob to literally do whatever they wanted to do. So in those circumstances, what did he expect Ghanaians to do? Stand by and watch the mob to lynch the people to death? No. He has been very consistent in terms of his Pan-Africanism. But on this occasion, I think he's part of the leadership failure. When this riot started, I expected he and other activists to rise up and condemn it in no uncertain terms. They didn't do that. Even if they did, it was not as vocal. So Ghana had to do what Ghana had to do. Ghana had to look for its citizens. That's the responsible thing to do under the circumstances. So I think what he's saying is afterthought. They didn't know that Ghana will react so proactively, because this is not a common trait in Africa where African leaders come to the rescue of their citizens. So I think that is why he's saying what he's saying. But unfortunately, it is too late. It's too late for those statements.
I think he's also suggesting that at least, because it will take time for them to be able to nip this in the bud. Are you suggesting that they've had enough time to solve the problem if they really wanted to solve it?
This thing didn't start yesterday. Xenophobic attacks in South Africa has a long history. Just after the end of apartheid, South Africans have vented their anger on fellow Africans, and it became an annual ritual. So if you are going to nip it in the bud, you should have done it. And when these March activists signaled that they were going to start their agitations, the police, the security services should have risen Because if you have intelligence as a country, then you should be able to be on top of all this before they even become real. You didn't do anything about it, and the innocent people are being chased. People who are even there legally are being chased. So I think they've had enough time as a country to sort this thing out. They have not done that, and I think politics has also entered the fray. So that is why it is so difficult for the ANC and even the African leadership to do something about this issue.
What would have amounted to enough action for the Ghanaian government to have decided, okay, we need to give them adequate time? What did the South African authorities need to do to have convinced that they are interested in solving the problem?
Well, Ghana initially tried to resolve the thing diplomatically. So there was a meeting of African diplomats. That didn't stop the rioters. So every now and then you have more riots in Johannesburg targeting fellow Africans. So you don't, as a government or as a country, it would have been very irresponsible for Ghana to trust the judgment of the African government, given that they have not demonstrated leadership. So I think Ghana initially was expecting what a responsible government would do by South Africa stopping, because you have the security agencies at your disposal. The state has a monopoly over the use of violence. So if the state is overcome or the state is overtaken by the mob, then the state has lost that legitimacy. So Ghana couldn't have done anything else than to do what they've done, which is the right thing to do.
We have evacuated the first batch. We understand there are more people who have registered to return to the country. Now, with what Julius Malema has said, should we take it that we've sent enough caution to the South African authority for them to sit up, or we should just go ahead and do the rest of the evacuations?
Well, Ghana has to look at the situation, what has happened since the first evacuations, whether it gives enough signal for South Africa to take action. If that has not happened, then they have to proceed, particularly if it's a voluntary repatriation. People want to voluntarily come home, then the government cannot stop them. And you don't want to be blamed later that you were irresponsible towards your citizens. So yes, South Africa may have taken a cue from what has happened in the first evacuations. But if Ghanaians have registered to be evacuated, they have that right. And we have a duty of care as a country to them to evacuate them back home.
In fact, having said that, then there is, I think there's the angle of, is it Jacinta Zuma, who has become one of the faces of the recent anti-immigrant protests and actions, who is of the opinion that our Ghanaian authorities are overreacting, that they fail to understand what they are seeking to achieve, that all they are seeking to achieve is to protect local laws and also ensure everybody in the country is legally has the necessary legal documents to cover them. What is the best reaction to that?
Who assigned them that responsibility? Is that their duty? If South Africa is a serious country, those people should have been rounded up and locked up, because that is not their job. If you think they are illegal migrants in your country breaking the laws, there's a lot of law enforcement agencies. So you, the citizens, you are vigilante. You don't have that right. You are rather breaking the law. So what she says is neither here nor there. She should even have that right to be talking. By now, in a serious country, she should have been arrested with her gang, because what they were rather breaking the law. The Ghanaian government didn't overreact, because if there's a breakdown of law and order, the South African government seems so helpless and they couldn't do anything. You don't expect Ghana government to also sit down either. So what we have done is a rebuke. It's an indirect indictment of the failure of leadership in South Africa to allow the mob to take over law enforcement. Who does that?
Now, paying attention to what is happening in South Africa, what are your own views? Because this government voted for by the people in South Africa has every authority perhaps to deal with this problem, but we are not seeing a lot of action in dealing with this. What is your reading of what is going on within South Africa?
Well, South Africa has a systemic problem, government failure, the inability of the post-apartheid government, successive government, to rise to the occasion to deliver for the people. So there's frustration. And that is why I said the political anger is also there. Migrants have become a political football. So every election year, that is invoked to win political power. And I think the ANC, as a ruling government, has lost a lot of support in South Africa. If you look at the voter support for ANC, it has declined consistently. So because that's a failure of leadership, the South African people have not enjoyed all the benefits they were expecting from the end of apartheid. I know this reminds me of what Frank Fanon. Fanon talks about black faces or black men in white faces, something like that. When you talk about the psychological aspect of colonialism, and that even after colonialism is overthrown, the psychological aspect already the black South Africans know that the challenge they face is leadership failure. And they also know that there's economic inequality, economic power is in the hands of the white people. But because of the colonial construction of power in South Africa, the black South Africans are not able to take the fight to the white people. So now they are venting their frustration on fellow black Africans, which is very unfortunate. So the dynamics are just very complex, but at the base of it is leadership failure.
Leadership failure.
Yes.
Having this in mind, because even looking at the numbers that are registered to be voluntarily repatriated, there'll be still a majority of Ghanaian immigrants still in South Africa. What else can our government do to ensure that every Ghanaian in South Africa is safe?
Well, the Ghanaian High Commission in South Africa has to be up and doing and make sure that they have an inventory of Ghanaians residents in South Africa, even after the evacuations. Because if you have over 25,000 Ghanaian residents and you're evacuating only 800, that's just a tip of the iceberg. You need to continue monitoring and ensuring that wherever Ghanaians are, they are being protected. If some of them eventually still want to come back home, then you have to facilitate that. But you see, it's not going to be possible to completely evacuate every Ghanaian from South Africa or from any country back home. International migration is part of interdependency we have in the international system. One would have thought that South Africa, given that they have business and economic interests and they have their own citizens scattered all over this continent, they should take steps to ensure that every migrant feels safe. If somebody breaks the law illegally, then you take action against that person. But to not do that and allow the mob to literally take over your job as a government, that's very unfortunate. So I think Ghana has to still continue diplomatic overtures to the South African government to make sure that South Africa performs its duties that it owes to everybody that resides in South Africa, both legal and illegal.
And let me conclude with this question, because this week I posed the question of African working together as one economic unit to a former finance minister of Ghana, Honorable Seth Tekpe, and he's of the opinion that when it comes to leadership on the economic front, it should be deferred to South Africa. Having gone through all this, because now it looks like the entire Africa has an issue with the way South Africa is handling this problem, because virtually every country has one or two persons in there who would have been affected by this. Does this pose a threat or a danger to the integration we are looking for, especially on the economic front?
Yeah, it does. And that is why I keep talking about leadership failure. You know, African unity, African integration has not really trickled down to the masses. So we have this elitist approach to integration where leaders meet in Durban, they meet in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, they meet in Accra, just to talk about big agendas. But the ordinary Africans have not bought into the African integration and the interdependency that we have as a continent. And if you are going to give that leadership to South Africa, the question you should be asking is that how has South Africa performed as a leader since the end of apartheid? Because if the average South African is not even aware that their liberation, their freedom from apartheid was actually assisted largely by fellow African countries making financial and other contributions towards their liberation, then how are they going to see these Africans as their fellow Africans? So until and unless the ordinary South Africans are conscientized to understand the interdependency and that they owe their freedom to fellow Africans who have to make a lot of sacrifices for their liberation, then that is going to change. So you cannot give that economic leadership to South Africa when the South Africans, as a citizens, don't see themselves as Africans enough. The average South African feel that they are outside of Africa. So that mindset, that mentality has to change before you can begin to talk about regional or continental integration. Otherwise, it will still be an elitist, heads of state kind of agenda that is not going to go anywhere.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof, for speaking to us.
No problem. Thank you.
That's Professor Lord Mawuko Yevuga, who is a professor of international relations and diplomacy. He says he sees nothing wrong with the way the Ghanaian government has acted, that at this stage, this was the best move for Ghana, knowing that its citizens are under threat and there was a need to do something immediately. Now, all of us who've been following what has been transpiring in South Africa find Julius Malema'S stance quite problematic and troubling. Because so far, from everything we've seen, everything we have listened to, from all the videos we've watched, and the way in which even these so-called activists speak, you get a sense that they're having a field day. Nobody is there to stop them from doing whatever it is they want to do. If they want to beat you up, they'll beat you up well. If you are not lucky, the police will take over and continue from where they ended, because now they will describe you as an illegal immigrant. So there's a problem in South Africa that we are seeing no leadership in addressing it. Not from the president and not from the local authorities. In fact, the only proactiveness we've seen is from, I think, is it a governor or a mayor in KwaZulu-Natal or something, who's decided to even be the leader of the anti-immigrant sentiments. So anti-African sentiments, where they are, he's actually decided to use the authority given to him to take businesses belonging to other African nationals and say, leave, I'll give it to my fellow South Africans to continue. They were not part of the foundation of those businesses. They don't know what it took to do to put together those businesses, among others. So those are some of the things we are seeing in South Africa. So for Julius Malema to say, give them time, give who time? Is it Julius Malema that we are going to give time? Or is the other one, the president, who we are going to, why have I forgotten his name? Cyril Ramaphosa, that we are going to give time to? That's the question that the Ghanaian authorities have to answer. It's the question that the Nigerian government has to answer. It's a question that even their immediate neighbors, Zimbabwe, Zambia, all of those people have to answer. And Ghana's response is, you know what, at this point, we can't guarantee the safety of many of you. What we can do is say, if you want to return to your country where you will be safer, we have an aeroplane on standby. We can guarantee your movement in this country. We can help you start over again. So that's the reaction of Ghana. Ghana is not saying we are packing every Ghanaian. We are saying it's voluntary. If you feel you can still survive within the scheme of things, no problem. But if you think that is gotten too far for you, register and come with us. We'll take you back to where you came from. So you return back to Ghana. That's all Ghana is doing. Nancy?
You see, the way he was speaking, for thinking and speaking the way he did alone, if the girl and his people and her people, if they get in Ukara, they will beat him. Because it looks like his thinking is different from most of them.
Yeah.
Okay. But at this point, Malema does not have any power. In fact, he himself, if they get him, they will arrest him.
Oh, they were going to jail himself before.
Do you get? So he does not have any power. And those who actually have the power
are not doing
what he says they can do.
Yeah, and that they should give them time to do. Yeah.
Okay, the people who have the power now are not doing that. And they don't look like they will do that anytime soon. And so I'm asking, when or at what point
would they do it?
Were we going to see some action from the authorities in South Africa? Or at what point was he hoping that Ghana would act in defense of its citizens in South Africa? So for me, I don't agree with what he said, really. He does not have, if he had power, if he had power, we would take his words for it. We would say that, okay, let's give him time and see. Maybe he will do something. He doesn't have the power. The ones who have power too, they are not thinking the way he is thinking.
Yeah.
And so at this point, what Ghana must do to protect its citizens is what it must do. And that is what it has done. That's all. Simple as that. I don't know where. Where. They are now going to sit down, go to parliament.
Debates.
No, because most of their, what do you call? like the one who was saying that they are taking businesses of foreign nationals, for instance.
Yes.
They are the ones who have the power. And that is their thinking. And in fact, his video, for instance, when you go under it and you see the comments from the South Africans, it means that is their mindset.
Yeah.
They all believe that this is the way to go. And so I don't see where he is coming from. That, I mean, we should agree.
So for you, it sounds like a lone voice.
Yes.
In the wilderness.
A lone voice with no power. Lone voice with no power to do. He can only talk. The one who would act supports what is happening. The president of South Africa. He agrees with his the youth of South Africa. Or he doesn't. He
doesn't. He has said he doesn't.
He doesn't.
Yes.
What shows he doesn't?
He says so.
Anybody can say anything, but your actions, by your actions, will know whether you support or not. It was one of his promises to his people that when he becomes president, he will make sure that immigrants will leave their country. And they are just enforcing it. So he cannot tell us that he doesn't support the activists, so-called activists, what they are doing. He does. Because if he doesn't, we would have seen some action from him, telling the police, the immigration officers and whatnot, what to do.
But we've seen statements from even the South African police.
That what?
That they are not going to tolerate it.
Tolerate?
This kind of actions that has led to us bringing our citizens.
Senna, the people who experience it, the people who lived it, are telling you that, see, anybody can get up and issue a press statement. That one there, we have issued. The media will say that, oh, the office of the president has issued a statement saying A, B, C, D. Okay. But the officers from the presidency are in town doing otherwise. And which of them has been caught and reprimanded? None. We haven't seen a statement saying that for harassing foreign nationals in South Africa, this group of youth have been arrested. We haven't. Have you heard?
I'm sure there would have been some arrests.
Oh, Senna. The people who lived, those who came back, out of the 300 who arrived, they told you that in the face of the police, they've been attacked. In the face of immigration officers, they've been attacked. So what are we talking about? That's anybody can issue a press statement, knowing very well that what he's issuing is not the issue. So, I mean, at this point, I don't see who in his or her proper mind would say that what Ghana is doing, I mean, we are not acting right. I don't see where it's coming from. Who would be saying that?
I see. Well, so that's anyway. We're just speaking to Professor Lord Mawuko Yevuga about Julius Malema'S stance on the move that's been made by Ghana led by our Foreign Affairs Ministry. In fact, he himself, they nearly put him inside. Anyway,